Welcome to another Down the Rabbit Hole video, and welcome to another video response. Did just do one for NovaBug, so I thought I'd give it a few videos before I answer this one. This is to Alan Stewart, Mamemeister, who I've done video responses to before. He's asked a good question that I wanted to chime in on, like a lot of people have. And that is, do you play video games in public? Alan's point was kind of, he feels at his age that, you know, being seen playing with a Game Boy and kids watching him playing Pokemon, maybe it's a little weird, so he doesn't do it, and he's curious if the rest of us do. Some have got some very interesting points of view. Mine has a kind of a cute story that I thought I would end with, so to get to that, I don't really have nostalgic connection with playing games on handhelds. I mean, there were a few when I was a kid, but they always took batteries, and batteries cost money, and when I had no money at all, I never bought anything that took batteries. So I don't have connection for like the Game Boy or any of those other items. A friend of mine had the Atari Lynx, and I remember playing it in the 90s and thinking, this is really cool. But again, the battery factor totally eliminated it from ever being on my kind of radar for wanting me to get one. And I didn't really think it played terribly well, so I just thought, it's a neat novelty thing, but I'm not interested. However, years later, when I was going to work, now I take a big commute every day, so I've got lots of time on my hands. And I had an iPod Touch back in the day. This is a Sony, technically a Sony Clie, but basically iPod Touch. And I use it for actual work and purposeful things like addresses and calendar and stuff. But you also had little games on this thing, and it was kind of my first foray into actually being able to play games on the go properly. The fact that this had a rechargeable battery as well kind of got me into it. And after a few years of that, I just felt, I should really go like fully into it. And two handhelds were just new at the time, one of which I ended up getting. And that is the Nintendo DS. This is my original DS. It was down to this or the PSP. PSP was more money, and I just found that I liked this design more. So I did play the DS a lot, and so much so, I actually upgraded to the DS Slim. Love this thing. But after a while, I was starting to find, I kind of regret not getting the PSP because Nintendo do a lot of kiddie-centric stuff. I mean, there's good mature stuff on here, but as a percentage of the amount of games, it was like 95% stuff aimed at kids or babies or, the new casual audience that Nintendo was going for. So I kind of got a little, disillusioned with the DS. I just found after a while, I'm not going to really play this. But that changed, because then they got something out that I just thought, how is this even going to be possible? And I've got it, and I do love it, and that is the Nintendo 3DS. This thing is great. I love the fact that it does 3D, like, really well. And it has enough power behind, like, enough of a 3D engine in it. You can get good racing games, and good games of, like, a slightly more mature variety. You're not dealing with just 2D sprite stuff that the DS was mostly famous for. And you can play Game Boy games, and you can buy stuff off the store. Like, it's a really good console. So this was, for a while, a machine that I played on a lot. And yes, I had no problem playing with it in public. I was perfectly fine with that. But over time, that kind of faded, and I don't really know what it was. And I don't really game on this thing very much anymore. Now, I have since kind of branched off into other consoles that are handhelds, but I don't really play them in public. For example, I also got the Game Boy Micro. Love this thing. Take it to work sometimes, or sometimes if I think my other devices are going to be drained because I need them for some purpose, and I might want to have this as like let's say I'm on a really long flight, for example, on an airplane. I will bring this with me as like a backup, but I don't really game on it that much per se. Also, I did get the Game Boy 101 with a backlit screen, the AGS 101 model. This is more comfortable in many ways than the Micro. I like the bigger screen. it can play original Game Boy and Game Boy Color games. That's really why I got it. It has limitations, like it doesn't have a headphone jack. You have to get a you have to get a weird little adapter. So, and I've heard people talk about, everybody gives Apple crap for like, they got rid of the head jack or headphone jack. Nintendo did it back in the day. Like, this thing doesn't technically have a headphone jack. You got to get a weird adapter. So I have this to play the Game Boy, Game Boy Color, and Game Boy Advance games that require a bigger screen than the Micro can, deliver. And I do play it, but I don't play it outside. So I think around the time that I got this, I was finding I just wasn't playing all that much. Oh, and I recently got the Game Gear, and this I got because there's a lot of titles that weren't on Nintendo's, and I just thought, yeah, I want to try this thing out, and I got this for a really good price, and it's one of the rare blue ones. I've been meaning to actually do more videos about the Game Gear, so more Game Gear videos are coming. However, the long and short of it is, I used to play a lot, and I do still play today, but almost entirely on this, my iPod Touch, speaking about Apple products. I mostly find, because I have this with me for listening to podcasts and all that kind of stuff, this is my go-to device, and I just play the games that are on it. And some of them are really good. I've done videos about a variety of them. My phone doesn't have a data plan, so I can't check Twitter or watch YouTube videos on the go. Same with the iPod Touch. Like, all of these things that I use, both my phone and my iPod Touch, are Wi-Fi only. So when I'm at a doctor's office or when I'm at home, I use Wi-Fi for those purposes. But when I'm on a bus or on a subway train, I play on that thing mostly, which is a little bit weird. Now, let me get to the fun story, because this is sort of, and this speaks a little bit to Alan's question about, don't you feel kind of embarrassed when you're a mature man and you're playing a little handheld? There was one day first of all, I've done a review of this already. I also have this, it's called the Sega Gopher, and it's basically a Sega Genesis, Sega Mega Drive in your pocket. Like, you can load as many ROMs on here as you want, and you can play to your heart's content. And I've played a lot of games on this thing, and I think it's a really good portable Sega console. I had a really fun experience with this thing that I wanted to share as part of this video response, because it does touch on Alan's main point. I had a really crummy day at work, and I was listening to my podcasts on the way home, and I was listening to IGN's IGN's Beyond, which is the Sony sort of centric podcast, mostly about the PlayStation and the Vita and stuff. And this is a few years ago, back when Greg Miller and Colin Moriarty were the main hosts on the show. And they were talking, for whatever reason, out of the blue, they talked about Altered Beast. And, oh my god, isn't that a terrible game? And I was just like, I need something to distract me from the rotten day of work I've had. I'm going to fire up Altered Beast on this thing and just play it. Because you would think you would want to play a good game. No, I wanted to play a lousy game, because that way I've sort of hit rock bottom and maybe I'll pull myself up. So yeah, I'm going to fire up Altered Beast on this thing, and oh my god, isn't it a terrible game? What was funny, as I was playing, this guy was nearby with his kid, maybe 8 or 9 years old, and the kid was kind of looking over my shoulder watching me play Altered Beast. And his dad was like, "Oh, you're bothering me, man." I'm like, "No, it's fine, man. Don't worry about it. I'm playing over there. It's not a big deal." And the kid watched, and he was absolutely thrilled, especially the part where, as you're going along, you actually power up, and you become more manly and more burly and big muscles. Something that any little 8-year-old kid is going to be like, "Oh yeah, he's powering up." And then at the certain point of the game where you actually turn into the monster, and you're the werewolf type guy, and you're doing lots and lots of damage, he was just like, "That's so cool! He's powered up, Dad!" And I'm sitting there like, hey, I'm actually really enjoying having an audience while I'm playing this game. And it totally cheered me up. I just felt really, really nice after that. I thought, hey, what I was thinking was kind of maybe a little embarrassing, like Alan was talking about, actually turned into being quite a fun little experience, and completely cured me of my rotten day of work. I was just like, yeah, I'm playing Altered Beast, and this kid thinks it's really, really cool. And it was a fun experience. It was one of my more enjoyable on-the-go gaming experiences that I liked. So, that's the answer to my answer to Alan's question about, do you play games on the go, or have you played games in public? I used to, and then I've kind of tapered off, and certainly lately it's just all iPod stuff. I like the 3DS, but I'm just not playing it. I don't know what it is. It's lost its luster for me. And I have these other devices around me, and yes, more videos of the Game Gear are coming. But I play them more for... Actually, Longboy's post, when he did his video response, he mentioned he has these handhelds because he wants to play the games that are on them. And I think that's kind of my stage now. I play stuff on this original Game Boy Advance that allows me to play original and Game Boy Color, because I'm going to experience the library that I never played. So that's where I am now with these handheld devices. Somebody else I just wanted to mention as well, on the subject of Altered Beast, John Gage, one of the guys I'm subscribed to, he's just done a video about Altered Beast. So maybe go check out, I'll put a link to his video below as well. But yeah, do I play games on the go now? Yes, absolutely, but they're all mobile games. I don't feel like they're much better than any of these things. It's more the convenience. This thing happens to be in my pocket. I happen to be on the go. I don't have data. I don't have any way to check anything else but play games on this or listen to podcasts. So that's what I do. I don't play any of these other things out in public. I mostly play them here at home. Very strange, but anyway, that is my video response to Alan Mamemeister, so really enjoyed that question, and yeah, I guess until next time, we'll see you down the rabbit hole.